G'day guys, how are you going? So here we are almost in 2019 and I am reviewing which tank is more overpowered, which tank is more pay to win, if you will. The IS-3A or the Defender. The fact that I can even make a video like this is inherently sad, but I guess it's the way that World of Tanks is at the moment and will be for the foreseeable future. So the Defender, otherwise known as the Object 252U, came out around about 2 years ago in February of 2017 and really set the bar quite high for what an overpowered tank was tier for tier. But don't you worry, everyone who has a Defender and is bored of their overpowered Defender. We have a new challenger to what is to be the most overpowered tank tier for tier, the IS-3A. And that's what this whole video is going to be about. Which tank is more overpowered and which one should you prefer in your garage? For those of you who don't know or might be watching this into the future when World of Tanks is now no longer here, the IS-3A was a tank that was introduced and was a pretty good tank. It was a tank that was effectively slightly worse than the standard IS-3, and that kicked up a whole stink in the community. But little did they know, 2 and a bit years on, that World of Tanks meta has just completely changed and overpowered tanks are now the norm. And so the IS-3A became really nothing. It became a tank nobody played because it actually was quite bad. Of course, now it is a tank that everyone wants to play because it is so good. But anyway, let's just dive straight into it and see exactly which tank has the better gun first of all. Now, the Defender has a hard-hitting gun. It has an alpha damage of 440 damage points, a penetration of 225 using just its standard rounds, and a good DPM of 1760. Its gun handling stats are also good, especially considering how big of an alpha damage 440 alpha is. So really, it doesn't really miss out on much with its gun. Now, the Defender was the reigning champ for having a gun that was one of the best guns at tier 8 on a heavy tank. But that bar has definitely been raised by the IS-3A. Though it has a little less alpha damage than the Defender at 390 hit points and a little less penetration on its standard rounds at 221 millimeters, this gun has a DPM that can almost be 3,000. In fact, some people are getting their DPM to over 3,000 per minute, that is. It has a clip potential in under 6 seconds of around about 1200 damage, just under. So this is a pretty good gun. It has a clip potential of just under 1200 in 6 seconds. So really, the Defender, it was here. It was really good, it was here, everything else was down here. IS-3A. Right up there. Not to mention, the IS-3A has APCR rounds as standard, and that just means that its shell velocity is faster. In fact, it is one of the fastest shell velocities at 1400 meters per second at tier 8. So really, you don't have to lead your shots all that much. And its gun handling stats are very, very similar to the Defender's. So not amazing, but pretty damn good considering the alpha damage of the gun. So yeah, in this case, the IS-3A does have a, I would argue, substantially better gun than what is on the Defender. So, which one has better mobility? Well, they're actually very similar. The Defender has a power to ratio of just under 14, while the IS-3A has a power to ratio of just under 11. Now that might seem like a lot, and it is quite a big difference, except for that the IS-3A does have better terrain resistances by around about 20%, and that means that the difference between their power to weight ratios in practice doesn't feel very different at all. In fact, in a straight line, the IS-3A has a top speed of 40 kilometers per hour, while the Defender has a top speed of 35 kilometers per hour. Neither of them are speed demons, that's for sure, but they'll both reach their respective top speeds, you know, with a bit of effort. And track traverse and turret traverse rise, well, the Defender is a bit better. Its track traverse is 30 degrees per second versus the 26 degrees per second on the IS-3A, but that's only a difference of 4 degrees per second, and really in practice it is not that noticeable, especially considering, again, the terrain resistances are better on the IS-3A, and that does bridge the gap a little bit. To summarize their mobility, it feels the same in practice. It is very similar, though the Defender does win out a little bit in the mobility category. Armor-wise is where the Defender reigns supreme without a doubt. This tank from the upper plate upwards is pretty much impenetrable by anything it comes against. Its armor profile is 300 millimeters plus from the point of the beak upwards. So really, this tank is a monster from the front. The lower frontal plate, okay, it's not amazing, but it's still really, really good at around 220 millimeters. Tier 8 and anything less, that probably won't go through. Tier 9 and above, they're probably gonna have a pretty easy time going through the lower frontal plate, which is massive, but still well armored. The IS-3A still has good armor. It's still an IS-3 with a slightly worse turret, but the turret is still very, very strong unless you look at the top of the turret where anything can overmatch and go straight through its roof because of its lack of armor at 20 millimeters. But the upper frontal plate is still pretty good. It's still an IS-3. The lower frontal plate, again, still pretty good. And it has the crazy Russian space troll armor on the side, which means that this thing is almost impenetrable when you shoot it at certain angles on the side. So in fact, it has better side armor than the Defender, but the frontal armor is nowhere near as good. So the Defender wins out as well on armor. So what does that mean? Which one is more overpowered? Well, sadly, they're both just as overpowered as each other, in my opinion. While the IS-3A has that gun advantage, that crazy, stupid, just absolutely monstrously stupid gun on it now, the Defender still has stupid armor. But they both do things that they shouldn't be able to do very, very well, i.e. just go forward and wreck the enemy team. Okay, the IS-3 struggles a bit more, IS-3A I should say, but it's not that much worse. If you are a skilled player, just go with the IS-3A. If you really want to be that guy in the IS-3A, then go and be that guy in the IS-3A, and you will do really, really well as long as you know how to use the auto reloader mechanic to your advantage. If you don't really know how to play World of Tanks, then just go and play the Defender. It is a great tank if you don't know what you're doing, and if you do know what you're doing, that's when it becomes insanely overpowered. But I'm not going to say which one is more overpowered. I think I prefer the IS-3A because of its 3000 DPM, but if you want to use the Defender, then absolutely that is just as overpowered, and you'll have a great time when you're playing World of Tanks. Just don't expect to see many people at tier 8 anymore. I think that, I don't know, for me personally, I think I'm going to stay away from tier 8s now. It's just not worth it. What the future holds for this game, I have no idea. I really, really want to see this game improve. I do not see how introducing overpowered tank after overpowered tank is going to fix the game, but I'll leave that up to Wargaming. They're a for-profit company. I think they're going about it the wrong way. I think that the community is pissed off, but what do I know? I'm just a player of World of Tanks. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please do leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.